to welcome guests. Pictures of children playing and growing up in the city. In the early 20th century, the house's history changed again. The ground floor was now a sweet shop, first run by the Bannerman Ennis family and then by the Morton family. There was a display on this part of the house's history on the ground floor. By this time, some people in Glasgow had realised that Provands Lordship was the last cathedral manse still standing. They formed the Provands Lordship Society to celebrate the house and Glasgow's long history. Exhibitions, plays and feasts were held in the upper floors of the house. Sir William Burrell, whose collection you can and on an image taken from his seal in the garden. The building was to have two functions. Firstly, Provands Lordship was to be the home of the master of the neighbouring St Nicholas's Hospital, where Glasgow's sick and poor were cared for. Secondly, it was also to be the manse for the canon of the cathedral who managed the estates of Provan. This function gave the house its name, Provands Lordship. The canon represented the bishop in church services and the cathedral in its affairs. Once there were 32 manses around the cathedral. Today, Provands Lordship is the only surviving one. Let's go upstairs to learn more about the house and its history. On the first floor is a display showing the house's two functions. Here you can see a representation of a room that Cuthbert Simpson lived in during the early 1500s. He was the master of the hospital and canon of Provan. Simpson was a lawyer and a priest, and he would have been well educated and a busy man. Records show that the master's rooms were sometimes lavishly furnished. He led a team of priests and servants who gave religious services and supplies to patients in the hospital. As part of looking after the sick, Simpson probably would have ordered herbal medicines to be made. The herbs would have been grown in a medicinal garden. The garden at the back of the house commemorates the medical history of the house. Simpson had to provide religious services for the cathedral as well as manage its estate at Provan. He would often have to entertain the Bishop of Glasgow and other important guests. Beside the master's room is a display of a dining room with a huge fireplace ornament. This recalls the house's importance. The royal portraits that hang in a room on the first floor also show the importance of the house. It is possible that in early 1567, Mary, Queen of Scots, was at the house. She came to help nurse her husband, Henry Darnley, back to health after he had fallen ill. As a result of the Protestant Reformation in the 1500s, the house no longer belonged to the church and passed into private hands. Displays of Provands Lordship show this change. By the mid-17th century, the house belonged to a successful tailor called William Bryson. He replaced the original wooden exterior stairs with new stairs built inside the building. Today, a collection of 17th century furniture celebrates this period of Scottish history. Now let's go further up Bryson's stairs to see the top floor of the house. On the top floor of the house is a display of prints and paintings about Glasgow's history and people. There are prints of Glasgow characters from the 19th century. They were popular street entertainers. There are also 19th century paintings of old buildings in Glasgow. One of these shows Provands Lordship when it was being run as an inn. Like so many before them over the centuries, visitors to the house would have relished the food and drink offered to them. The kitchen display on the ground floor celebrates Glaswegian hospitality. Here, cooks would have been busy preparing food to welcome guests. There are also 20th century paintings on display on the top floor. These show ordinary life in Glasgow, such as pictures of children playing and growing up in the city. In the early 20th century, the house's history changed again. The ground floor was now a sweet shop, first run by the Bannerman Innes family and then by the Morton family. There was a display on this part of the house's history on the ground floor. By this time, some people in Glasgow had realised that Provands Lordship was the last cathedral manse still standing. They formed the Provands Lordship Society to celebrate the house and Glasgow's long history. Exhibitions, plays and feasts were held in the upper floors of the house. Sir William Burrell, whose collection you can see in Pollock Park, was a leading member of the society. He bought furniture for these exhibitions and many pieces are still on display. In 1975, the Provands Lordship Society gave the building into the care of Glasgow City Council. Today it is run by Culture and Sport Glasgow on behalf of the council. In 1995, the St Nicholas Garden was planted and opened to visitors. Medicinal herbs were grown to celebrate Provands Lordship's place in medical history and as a reminder of the work the house did to care for Glasgow's sick and poor. A braille text label in the garden provides further information. In the cloisters are the Tontine heads. These sculptures were made for Glasgow's town hall in the 18th century. They were given the name Tontine when the town hall came into the ownership of Glasgow's Tontine Society in the 1780s. Members of the Tontine Society paid money into a fund and in return received dividends from the capital invested. As each member died, their share was divided among the others until only one member was left, reaping all the benefits. We hope that you have enjoyed this film and found out more about Provands Lordship and its displays. We welcome everyone to experience and enjoy the unique history of this building.